New Orleans, a city known for jazz, Mardi Gras, and gumbo. But beneath its vibrant exterior lies a secret history, one tied to the sinister world of the Mafia. Forget New York, forget Chicago. The Mafia's roots run deep in the heart of New Orleans, a surprising origin story often overlooked. This is where the Black Hand first tightened its grip on America, leaving an indelible mark on the nation's criminal underworld. New Orleans, with its bustling port and melting pot of cultures, provided fertile ground for organized crime to flourish. The city's laissez-faire attitude and history of corruption created the perfect environment for the Mafia to thrive. This essay will delve into the shadowy world of New Orleans' Mafia past, revealing the key figures, pivotal events, and lasting impact of this often overlooked chapter in American history. Prepare to be surprised, intrigued, and perhaps even a little bit shocked as we uncover the truth behind the Mafia's surprising origin story. To understand the Mafia's rise in New Orleans, we must journey back to the late 19th century. The city was a melting pot of cultures, Italian, Irish, French, African, and Caribbean influences intertwined, creating a vibrant yet volatile social fabric. The port of New Orleans, a gateway to the Mississippi River and the American heartland, bustled with activity. It was a hub for trade, both legal and illicit. This made it a prime location for smuggling, gambling, and other vices that the Mafia would come to control. Corruption was rampant. Politicians and law enforcement were easily bribed, turning a blind eye to the criminal underworld that operated in the shadows. This atmosphere of lawlessness and vice provided the perfect breeding ground for organized crime to take root and flourish. The seeds of the Mafia were sown in this fertile ground, finding nourishment in the city's unique blend of opportunity and impunity. New Orleans was ripe for the taking, and the Mafia, with its ruthless efficiency and thirst for power, was ready to seize control. Popular culture often paints New York City as the birthplace of the American Mafia. While the five families of New York undoubtedly hold a prominent place in Mafia history, their reign didn't emerge in a vacuum. The truth is far more complex, reaching back to the shadowy streets of New Orleans. Long before the rise of Lucky Luciano and Al Capone, New Orleans was already a hotbed of Mafia activity. The city's unique blend of factors, a bustling port, a diverse population, and rampant corruption created the ideal environment for organized crime to flourish. This misconception about the Mafia's origins stems from a narrow focus on the later, more publicized chapters of its history. The New Orleans Mafia, often operating in the shadows and avoiding the spotlight, has been largely overlooked. However, their influence on the development of organized crime in America is undeniable. To truly understand the Mafia, one must look beyond the familiar narratives and delve into the hidden history of New Orleans. The late 19th century saw a wave of Italian immigration to the United States, with many settling in New Orleans. Among them were members of the Sicilian Mafia, seeking new opportunities in the New World. They found fertile ground in the city's underworld, quickly establishing themselves as a force to be reckoned with. One of the earliest documented instances of Mafia activity in New Orleans was the infamous Chief Hennessy assassination of 1890. David Hennessy, the city's police chief, was known for his tough stance against organized crime. His investigations into Mafia activities made him a target. Hennessy was gunned down near his home, and while the assassins were never definitively identified, suspicion immediately fell on the Mafia. The assassination sent shockwaves through New Orleans and brought the issue of Mafia influence to the forefront. It also marked a turning point, solidifying the Mafia's hold on the city and demonstrating their willingness to use violence to protect their interests. The Black Hand, as they were known, had tightened its grip on New Orleans. No figure embodies the New Orleans Mafia more than Carlos Marcello. Born in Tunisia to Sicilian parents, Marcello immigrated to the United States as a child and rose through the ranks of the New Orleans underworld to become one of the most powerful Mafia bosses in American history. His reign began in the 1940s and lasted for decades. Marcello was a master manipulator, adept at navigating both the underworld and the legitimate world. He cultivated relationships with politicians, judges, and law enforcement officials, ensuring that his criminal enterprises operated with relative impunity. His empire encompassed gambling, prostitution, drug trafficking, and labor racketeering. He controlled the docks, the unions, and even had a hand in the city's political machine. Marcello's influence extended far beyond New Orleans. He was a key figure in the national Mafia syndicate and was even rumored to have played a role in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, although those claims have never been substantiated. Carlos Marcello's life and crimes are a testament to the power and reach of the New Orleans Mafia. The Mafia's presence in New Orleans was not merely a matter of criminal opportunism, it was also a product of the city's unique cultural landscape. Sicilian immigrants, many fleeing poverty and oppression in their homeland, arrived in New Orleans carrying their traditions, values, and in some cases, their criminal connections. The close-knit nature of the Italian community in New Orleans, concentrated in neighborhoods like the French Quarter, provided a sense of solidarity and protection for Mafia operations. The Mafia's code of silence, known as omerta, was deeply ingrained in this community, making it difficult for law enforcement to penetrate their criminal networks. Moreover, the cultural exchange between Sicily and New Orleans was not one-sided. The city's own history of lawlessness, corruption, and violence shaped the way the Mafia operated, creating a uniquely New Orleans brand of organized crime. This fusion of Sicilian tradition and New Orleans grit forged a powerful and enduring criminal enterprise. New Orleans' significance in Mafia history extends beyond its borders. The city's strategic location as a major port city made it a key hub in international smuggling operations. One of the most notorious examples of this is the so-called French Connection, a heroin trafficking ring that flourished in the 1960s and 1970s. The French Connection involved smuggling heroin from Turkey into the United States, with New Orleans serving as a major point of entry. The Mafia's control of the docks and their connections to corrupt officials made New Orleans an ideal location for this illicit trade. The French Connection had a devastating impact on American cities, fueling addiction and crime. It also highlighted the global reach of the New Orleans Mafia and their ability to operate on an international scale. The city's underworld connections stretched across continents, making it a key player in the global drug trade. The Mafia's influence in New Orleans gradually waned in the latter half of the 20th century. Law enforcement crackdowns, internal conflicts, and changing social dynamics all contributed to their decline. However, the legacy of organized crime continues to cast a long shadow over the city. The Mafia's grip on the docks and unions may have loosened, but their impact on New Orleans' political and social fabric is still felt today. Stories of Mafia bosses, corrupt officials, and clandestine deals continue to circulate, adding to the city's mystique. The Mafia's presence is woven into the tapestry of New Orleans history, shaping its character and leaving an indelible mark on its identity. While the days of open Mafia rule may be over, the echoes of their reign still resonate in the streets of New Orleans. Today, New Orleans is a city in constant flux, balancing its vibrant culture with its complex past. The Mafia's story is an integral part of that past, a reminder of the darker forces that have shaped the city's identity. While the Mafia's grip on New Orleans has loosened, their legacy continues to intrigue and captivate. The city's shadowy past is a source of fascination for locals and visitors alike, inspiring countless books, films, and television shows. Walking through the French Quarter, one can almost feel the presence of Mafia dons and their associates, their whispers echoing through the narrow streets. The legacy of the New Orleans Mafia is a reminder that even in the most vibrant and celebratory of cities, darkness often lurks beneath the surface. The story of the Mafia in New Orleans is a tale of ambition, corruption, and violence. It's a story that challenges our preconceived notions about organized crime and its origins. New Orleans, with its unique blend of culture, history, and geography, provided the perfect breeding ground for the Mafia to take root and flourish. While their reign may be over, their legacy continues to shape the city's identity. The Mafia's story in New Orleans is not just a historical footnote, it's a reminder of the enduring power of organized crime and its ability to shape the destiny of cities and nations. As we continue to uncover the hidden chapters of New Orleans' past, we gain a deeper understanding of the forces that have shaped this iconic American city. The story of the New Orleans Mafia is a reminder that history is often written in shadows and whispers, waiting to be uncovered and understood.